Hello and welcome back to the Open Division here on the HeroesHype channel. I am Bahamut, one of the hosts. With me is InanimateJ. We had a little bit of a break here. We're waiting for some games. You know, we got some stuff that's just got to clear up a bit. Well, I guess we have teams that need to finish up their games. Coming back from the break, I'm already just frazzled. I forget how to talk. But looks like Wrong Orc won the first game versus Glow Gang. We'll see what happens in game 2. Okay, yeah, no, I was asking production. I was like, if they go to a game 3, can we jump into that? And he's like, I'm already in those chats. Like, don't you worry. I'm like, all right. So at this point, we're going to just be hanging out, buying a little bit of time while we will be getting ourselves set up and figuring out who's going to be going up against CCC, who's shown such a dominant start in tonight's tournament. And I guess what we can realistically do is we can kind of, back out and look at some of the bracket and maybe see some things that might develop that we weren't really expecting, or I don't know. How's the bracket looking for you, Jay?
Well, I think we've gotten word from head office that we're going to take whichever round of 8 game comes up first. So that might be either the CCC, the CCC versus the winner of Glow Gang or Wrong Orc, or we're going to go to the top of the bracket and take Trademark Gaming versus the winner of the match before them, which is either Freebirds or Divination. They're currently in game 3 right now.
Really?
Freebirds win Diesel, Dark Chimera, Battery, and Fancy Pants. And if that's the Battery from previous editions, I think if that's the EID Battery, then
yeah, I do believe so. It's a name change because I remember they played with Dark Chimera, Diesel, Fancy Pants. I think might be new, but definitely, yeah. No, Dark Chimera and Diesel, those look familiar. How maybe as well. But yeah, Divination with with Shot on there, that's interesting. They've also, going into a game 3 that is definitely I wouldn't say everything's on the line, but definitely the first cup is a big thing. And the one thing that we didn't talk about is the points that go into this, the amount of how this progresses throughout. And the one thing that first place takes 120 points, and not only that, they take some prize money as well with it. Like that's a huge thing to be playing in an amateur series and being able to kind of split some prize money with your teammates. Like that's a huge asset for a team.
Yeah, especially when those teammates might be people that you've played with for a long time, and you're able to come in and have your first real taste of esports success.
Yeah,
$600 is definitely it's not something to slouch at. $100 or so each. Yeah, take that any day.
That's absolutely great. You can do that. And then the thing is, like, it's the Open Division is 7 weeks long, not consecutively. I think there's like a small break when there is the Western Clash. Yeah, the Western Clash, because that's going to be in Burbank, if I'm not mistaken. And so, there's a small break there, and then there's like 3 weeks, and then there's the final. So technically it's 4 weeks, but it's like 7 weeks of tournament play and then 1 week of playoffs. But I mean, establishing yourself with 120 points, that's absolutely great. But I remember looking at last season, and there were teams that, the first 3 weeks they took first place. They didn't make it in the end. Like, they ended up getting, pushed out because there's a team that came in week 4 and just got the points they needed. And that team that took first place a lot was, I wouldn't say slouching, but, they kind of fell into that, those lower spots. So it's definitely important to, show up, play every week, and just establish points. Even if you take 9th and to 16th, you're still getting 10 points. And like, I remember there were there was a tiebreaker match to figure out who was actually going to be taking that 8th slot in the playoffs for North America last phase. So it's a lot of cool things that you get in these tournaments, and just every point matters.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you've got the type of format that you do, where you have the collective performance over the entire duration of the league. Essentially, yes, they're knockout tournaments, but it really is kind of a league format in the sense that your performance week to week determines where you end up, whether you're in the playoffs or not. And it just shows you that 1 or 2 off weeks might be the difference between you making it into that top 4 playoff for the spot in the Crucible or not making it in at all.
So it looks like we do have confirmation through production that Wrong Orc did take that series 2-0, so they will be moving on through the bracket into Triple C. So that will be the final match that we will be casting tonight. We will be sticking with Triple C as we started with them earlier. Yeah, so it's Triple C versus Wrong Orc, and that is going to be, just to kind of go over it again if anyone missed it, it is going to be Nesper, Talking Tree, Zane, Hyden, Notoria, and Zergling going into this, I wouldn't say no-name team, because we had someone in chat earlier, mentioning that one of the members was on the Heroes of the Dorm, Buffalo team. So it's really something important to point out. But yeah, Nesper already in Twitch chat just pointing this out too. So it looks like, yeah, Wrong Orc is showing up in Twitch chat just like, yo, we're going to be the next ones up. And that will be the next matchup that we're going to be having here. And we'll be getting map bans and all that going here in just a second. They need to get out of their game. I'm assuming they're probably going to want a glass of water or something. But they'll be figuring that out in the backside while we kind of, talk this up and get you prepped for this next matchup between these two teams for the round 4 game. I love this.
Yeah, I'm excited. I recognize a number of the players on Wrong Orc. I think I saw in one of the chats we've been having somewhere that a lot of the members of Wrong Orc were on XD from last Open Division.
Yes.
Got a chance to see them on the way through. The one time I was I was here on the HeroesHype channel with the day 2 top 4 bracket going through, and I'm excited to see them again. It's going to be, I think, a really fun match with what we've seen out of Triple C so far tonight, the pocket strategies. I don't think they're going to come out. I think they're going to have a little bit more respect for their opponent on the other side of the Nexus. But man, I don't know. I don't know what to expect really, because we've seen pretty much everything from A to Z out of Triple C. But I expect a little bit more meta from Wrong Orc. I just get the sense that they're going to be right down to business. They didn't make it. I think they didn't make it to the Crucible last time. I actually don't remember which 2 teams made it to the Crucible. We're gonna need to do some research on that one. For NA Crucible for Phase 1. I don't remember which teams made it.
XD and SMV, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, so they weren't able to actually win to get up in there. So I think they've got something to prove getting back to the Crucible for a second time and having another crack at one of the 2 teams coming down from the Pro Division.
Yeah, and that was actually one of the things I actually pulled up the standings from the last cup, and that's I think one of the reasons I kind of knew the answer to that, because I actually think the 1-2 spot from the Open Division last phase took the 1-2 spot. I'm barely sure, but XD was sitting at 585 points. They didn't even show up for Cup 5, and they still took first place. Not dropping. I think there was 1 week they dropped into something below 4th place. Otherwise they were consistent throughout. Then you have SMV, which was also Aria Please. They were sitting at 2nd place, and this is the thing that I was mentioning, getting those points week to week, the importance of it. The difference between 1st place and 2nd place in the standings last phase was 5 points. That was it. 5 points set the seed of the 1 seed and the 2 seed apart. Like, that's absolutely insane. And then the 3rd seed was sitting at 330 points. So a huge deficit between those 2. It's definitely, important. You can stack yourself up, and then, we see teams that kind of take a couple weeks off, relax, watch the videos, prep themselves, and get ready for the teams that they're going to be facing, just to make sure they consistently hold those higher values in the standing. But it's definitely, there's a little bit of a strategy with how you can kind of play around and even almost take a week off if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, if you get yourself enough of a lead, I think, through the first couple of weeks, then you might be able to take that week off, because the way the point structure is set up, there is a fair amount of disparity between 1st and, say, 4th in the points awarded. So if you get out, win 2 or 3 in a row, then yeah, sure, take the week off, reset, come back, finish out some pocket strats maybe in the final couple of tournaments for the phase, and go into the Crucible, or into the playoffs for the Crucible with a clear head and a full strategy book. But a lot of the other teams, you might have to do a little bit more work. You might have to really just buckle down and put in every single week, trying to get those results. The 2nds, 3rds, and 4ths, they add up.
And that's the thing, is actually, that was the one thing I wanted to note really quickly, is I was looking at the standings. So and this is where I was talking about, there was a tiebreaker. I'm looking at them now so I can see it. Gazua versus Snow Frogs, it was 170 points each. And I'm looking at the overall week to week. both teams never went above 40 points, gaining 40 points, which means they never went above 5th place. And they were in the, they were in the top 8, or at least they were vying for that top 8 position. So it's one of those things that, like, just even showing up, and even if you place 8th, you're getting 40 points. You consistently place 8th throughout you're going to be looking at a top 8 spot easy.
Mhm.
Like I'm looking at their numbers here, and there's a week off here, or like they take 0 points there, they take 10 points there, but they're still hitting that 170, which was basically, King's Gambit was only 20 points above them, where they won, I think 2nd place, one of the events. Yeah, 2nd place.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they never broke 40 points. So it's, I'm kind of harping on these points, but like the literal point values, but it really does matter, and it really pushes your team to a fighting position.
Yeah, and that's all you want. Get to the playoffs, and then anything can happen. That's really all you have to do through every cup in the Open Division. Like, yes, it's nice to come in with the top seed, but realistically speaking, just make the playoffs. Once you make the playoffs, then it's the tournament that really well and truly matters, because that's when you're fighting for that chance to get to the Crucible, to prove yourself worthy of getting up to the HGC Pro Division. Getting word from production that the map bans are coming in. We don't have the map picked yet, but we can tell you that Triple C has banned Sky Temple, and Wrong Orc has taken Battlefield of Eternity out of the map pool for this one. So just waiting for the map pick before we get into the lobby and get this one set up. But not a big surprise to see Sky Temple taken off. They've banned, Triple C has actually banned it every single time so far tonight. So I just maybe wanting to avoid that larger map. A lot of the strategies we've seen have been working out for them on the smaller map sizes, working away from the macro play, and will confirm Triple C taking us back to the Tomb of the Spider Queen.
And that was one of the things I was looking over. I kept like looking over production. I was even like crossing my fingers. I was trying to do it below camera, because I was just like, we were talking about like, so don't pick shrines. And then I was just sitting there. I was like, well, if the bans are going the way they are, like that means that I think Triple C was going to have pick. And I was like, are they going to go Tomb again? Like, do they just do Tomb 3 games in a row? Like, we saw it was really strong in the first series. It was pretty strong in game, in the second series. They had some falters here and there. It wasn't, because I think the first game it was like 20 kills to 2, and then on the Tomb of the Spider Queen game, and then this last one was like 8 to 10 or something like that. It was a lot closer in kills, but still, they had that phenomenal Cho'Gall play, and I really am excited to see what they're going to be bringing out here. But we're currently just got to get our lobby set up, get the teams in there, and we'll get going in very soon. Thank you so much for coming by and enjoying the stream. It really does mean a lot to us. And the other thing that I wanted to mention really quickly, if you are curious about the bracket that we were just chatting about, you can hit !bracket in the Twitch chat. It'll give you a link for NA and EU. And I think off of that website, you might even be able to check out the standings from last year too, so you can kind of check in and see what we were talking about before while we were getting this all loaded up with the point values, as well as just, how close it actually got in the standings towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and always a cool thing to go back through, look at the history like that, and see who was playing where and where they're playing now in the Open Division, because the team's always going to shuffle in the Open Division. They shuffle in the Pro Division to a lesser extent, but still a little bit there. As we're just getting into the lobby here, it's going to be Wrong Orc on the left side, it appears, with Triple C on the right. So that
I'm making notes for myself right now as we get these last 2 members in here, and this I'm excited about this. We have everyone just like loaded in already. I don't think I ever got to cast this group of people, the members of Wrong Orc. I don't think I got to cast them when they were XD last phase. I don't think I got to. It was mostly, I think it was followed on the mainstream, and I got to, catch some of the lower stuff, which is always the best for me, because mainstream sometimes they don't get to see the Cho'Gall Ariel on Tomb of the Spider Queen. They just get the really just high intensity, HGC almost level of play.
Yeah, they get the standard meta, your Genjis, your Hanzos, your Garroshes, but no, over here we get first pick, we get first pick Oriel Gul'dan, then after the ban phase, Cho'Gall. It's a thing, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things that it loaded in. I was just like, they're not gonna do it, but please do it. And at the same time, they pulled out the the Ana on that last game, and it worked really well. Now I'm really curious going into some of these members. They've got a bigger name around them. That some of them have played at a very higher echelon, I guess you could say. And so do you think that they're going to pull out some of these quirky strats like we saw in the last 2 series from Triple C, or do you think Triple C will play this a lot safer? They'll build a composition around some, maybe like a Gul'dan, and get go for those wave clears, go for the the picks with like a Genji or something like that.
They executed well enough with their pocket strategies in the last round that I think that they have the ability in them to come in against a team that has the name quality that Wrong Work does.
Yep.
And potentially come out with a win. That being said, I feel like Wrong Orc is going to come in with the exact same game plan of their own and look to execute it just as well, which is kind of a John Maddenism if you think about it. The team that plays better is going to win. Not always the case in Heroes of the Storm, though, because timing is everything.
Burden of execution is I think our main phrase here, because I even saw it in Twitch chat earlier. There were some, the Ana, for example, burden of execution. They played an amazing Ana, and it just came down to how well they can do it, how well they can, synergize, and also make sure that they're not, stutter stepping their healers' shots, which I do all the time. But we are going to be getting in this draft. We have a Malfurion banned out by the members of Wrong Orc. We have a Garrosh banned out by Triple C. And Joanna picked up by Wrong Orc in this first slot with a Gul'dan once again on the side of Triple C. Do we get the Ariel? I think it's too early, and they would spot this right away.
Yeah, it's too early, and I feel like they would have snapped it in right away if they were going to go down that same path. And I'm not surprised to see the Gul'dan. We know from the Twitch chat recon that's been handed to us throughout the course of the night that Gul'dan is probably one of their best picks. For Seth in the ranged assassin role. So that's not a surprise. But the fact that they're holding on to this second pick in the rotation is really kind of
I'm praying,
intriguing me.
I'm praying, Jay. I want another show.
Production on the other monitor too. The production is like, are
Oh.
we gonna get it? Are we gonna get it? I don't know, but we're getting down to the last couple seconds here. Oh, it's the Rhaegar.
Which
I
hold
guess
on.
that's okay.
Which hold on. So in the past, what we saw with Cho'Gall is if players, if they picked it, and like I played with a team once, and we picked a Cho'Gall super early, and I was like, but what about Greymane? Like, what about percentage based damage with Curse Bullet? And they were like, don't worry, we'll just draft Rhaegar for Ancestral Healing. Curse Bullet goes out, Ancestral connects. Now, granted, Ancestral did have like a 300 health point nerf to it, but at the same time, like, that burst of healing might just be as much as they need. So I won't count the Cho'Gall out just yet, but that will be a Blaze and a Genji on the side of Wrong Orc here. And we talked about in the last game, in that solo lane, and you see a Genji on the other team, expect there to be a rotation for a potential gank onto you. And then you really need to make sure that they're watching the rotations between top and mid in the 4-man to make sure they see if the Genji hasn't made that rotation with the friendly team.
It's a lot of crowd control on that front line too for Wrong Orc. Johanna Condemn is kind of a pain. Blaze as well, with the boosters coming in, dropping the oil slicks around, slowing everybody down. It's just disruption, and that's the kind of toolkit you want on your front line, especially on a very narrow map like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where you can get from top to bottom very, very quickly and catch anybody unawares in that rotation. Alexstrasza being the ban for Triple C, again, not a surprise when they see that kind of front line. They take Alexstrasza off the board, so she can't really get those big heals, and that Dragon Queen trait being so strong the way it is.
It's actually the same ban that they took out in the mid last time. They took out the Alexstrasza in the second ban phase. Now, granted, yeah, I don't know. I would have put more priority on the Deckard here, to be honest. I don't know about the Alexstrasza. I think the Deckard within the rotations is a little bit stronger for the team, sets up a lot more, and you don't have to pick up the healing consistently. Now, granted, you need to be aware of picking up that healing, but still, like, I really think that that's a stronger hero than maybe the Alex, or that's something that they don't want to deal with on the side of Triple C here. But we have that Yrel ban, and I'm curious if they just don't want to deal with it themselves, or they saw the Goomba stomping they did on that Towers of Doom game.
It might have been a little bit of one, a little bit of another, because Nesper did get into the Twitch chat pretty quickly after Wrong Orc got through Glowgang in their off-stream matchup. So you never know if you might have had it open on another monitor, just watching.
Just peeking over here and there, just like,
just
oh,
give
I
it an
wonder what
eyeball.
you guys are up to. Yeah. But this last pick being drawn out to the last second is going to be the Maiev and Diablo. We don't. The Dream's dead. They're going to play standard comp. They're looking to progress. They want to put themselves in that semifinals position where they can start earning cash one and a higher tier of points as well.
Absolutely. I'm expecting to see Yogurt again on the Diablo. We saw him very mechanically sound in round number 2 with the Diablo play, just absolutely bodying people back and forth, left, right, and center. Whichever way he wanted to push them, he pushed them on that Diablo. I'm interested to see who they pick up, though, as their second tank, if they do go that way. I have a feeling that they will. I don't see this being a single Diablo comp. Deckard and Chromie coming out as the final 2 picks for Wrong Orc. The Deckard, you and I talked about this, mostly you, during the ban phase. Very strong in the 4-man rotation. The CC with the Heraldric Cube and the Scroll of Identify. Very, very disruptive. And then Chromie.
Oh yeah.
Chromie hurts. I was playing against her in a quick match last night, and I was getting absolutely smacked.
Now the thing is, like, I don't play a ton of support, but if I'm not mistaken, Rhaegar still does have a cleanse, correct? And so they don't need to worry about temporal loop is really what I'm getting at here.
I'm pretty sure you're correct. I think Rhaegar is one of the last remaining heroes with because
I know, like,
the old design cleanse.
I was playing like Team League with some friends, and they were like, "Don't worry, I have Malfurion," and I was like half paying attention. I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then like Twitch chat was just like, "Malfurion doesn't have a cleanse for Chromie's." Like I'm like, "Oh wait, no, we don't have a cleanse." Like, so we ended up having to deal with that in a different way. But we have this Leoric for the solo lane, and I really like this. Outside of a couple changes to their draft, in the last one we saw. I'm trying to just. Actually, the first game, because we had the Leoric Diablo, we had a Phoenix, I think we had a Stukov and a Gul'dan. No, we had a different one. Either way,
Tomb of the Spider Queen. We had the Rhaegar, Diablo, Leoric. Those 3 were identical. We had the Phoenix. Seth was on the Phoenix in the first round.
Hanzo is what we had as well. That's what I was like, no, I'm getting something wrong here. But I'm excited about this. Getting into this draft, like with a Chromie. I think it's going to be really interesting to see Talking Trees deal some damage as they make the rotations between top and mid. We'll have to find out here in just a second as we load into game number 1 between these two teams. And on the left-hand side, we are going to be having Wrong Arc with Zergling going to be on the Blaze, Nintori going to be on the Deckard Cain, Nesper going to be on the Genji, Talking Trees going to be on that Chromie, and Zainhide going to be on the Joanna.
And on the right, the team we've been following all night, it is Triple C, Dayoon on the Rhaegar, Yogurt on Diablo, Fomalhaut on Leoric, Seth Lordson on his favorite Gul'dan, and Watcher playing the Maiev.
So at the start of this, it looks like we have this new strat where Gul'dan sits in core. And then we are going to be having it looks like we have a pause right out the gate as one member might have some connectivities. Oh, never mind. So they are going to be fine. We're going to go ahead and get right into this. All 5 members going into mid lane. I expect there to be, a split off after the first wave with Leo going to bottom into the Blaze. But we'll see here in just a second as they the good luck funds go out, and we're already getting some Brightwing emotes too.
Yeah, actually, interesting enough, Leoric still holding his first level talent there. I'm really not sure why that is, given the fact we all but expect him to be in the solo lane against Zergling on the Blaze in the bottom there. You see the Genji lurking in there, looking for that early rotation, but just like that, 4-man go up into the top as well. As it looks like on the mini-map, Fomalhaut will get back behind his lines. No harm, no foul as Nesper on the Genji, just able to push him back there. They don't lose any experience there, and no death on either side.
So far, rotation's going to be starting out really strong here. Yogurt going to get this angle onto the Genji. Protection status coming out. There will be the Umbral Bind, and it looks like Nesper will get out with just about 120 health. Nintori there with those healing potions for them, and that is a strong start to this game, Jay.
We talked about it in the first round when faced with a Genji, Yogurt in his positioning and his timing on getting that Genji out of position. Oh, the rotation down on the Blaze. as Watcher and Dayun come in and lock him down, getting the first blood of the game, almost getting Nesper as well. Seth Lordson, though, on the gold end, losing quite a bit of his health bars there to trees on the Chromie. Yeah, the rotations have been really fun to watch so far in the first 2 minutes of this one, as both sides really looking for that opening, well, the opening, I have to say,
right? Yeah,
in the positioning of either team.
Just to get their momentum rolling, and on a map like this, momentum is huge. The one thing I want to note is we're watching this, and I gotta say, CCC, they're playing even more aggressive and I would say almost hyperactive than we had seen all night. Granted, yeah, they just had 2 series of warm-ups, and actually both of these teams have had 2 series of warm-ups, but overall, I mean, some of these dives onto some of these players is really, really strong, and I think maybe Wrong Orc might have underestimated them at the start, at least with that kill onto the Blaze. I wasn't expecting that to be happening, Zergling being so far forward in the lane there, as it looks like we do continue to have the Genji and the Blaze in bottom lane, and we just have a 4-member rotation between top and mid from CCC, and only 3 going to be doing it on the side of Wrong Orc, but they definitely, Formal Hot is going to be getting pushed down in health quite a bit.
Yeah, he's basically so dead that he can't even obviously go to the well with Blaze down there, trying to spot him out with the oil slick and the ignite over the wall, trying to catch him out there. A little bit even in terms of the experience, just that small lead from the early kill on the favor of CCC right now. And I think it's really going to come down to which team gives up that early skirmish that opens up the first turn-in. You see the push meta really coming out here for Wrong Orc. Yogurt taking away that time trap there, and ooh, the stop right before the dash coming in from Zergling, and just able to get out with that shadow charge though. Ooh,
25 health.
Ah! I thought for sure that the Dragon's Breath was going to see Yogurt gone from this world, as the Time Dragon would have been enough to see the Lord of Terror off.
Oh my god, just so calculated. It's absolutely the highest IQ, but we are going to be having turn-in available for both teams, as Yogurt is fully is full in health, even experience at this point as well. I mean, just I would say almost a sliver between the two. We're talking like a 400-point difference if I'm looking at the actual numbers. At this point, I'm really curious to see how they're going to be dealing with both teams want to get their turn-in, so that means they're also going to be zoning each other. So Yogurt looking for that turn-in, the pings already go out, making sure Chromie maybe gets some stacks off of this, as well as pushing into them, as Nesper is getting pinged as well. They want to get that bite out of the butt with the Rhaegar, but Seth Lordson will need to back off, as they are getting poked by the Chromie the entire time.
Yeah, that's the difficulty with this type of comp this early on, where you can't get in and try and pressure that Chromie. And it's a really smart composition out of Wrong Orc right now. They're protecting Talking Trees with that disruptive front line of Blaze and Johanna, and they're not letting Diablo come in or Maiev come in and pull the Chromie out of position where they can get that dive, they can focus and collapse in to try and get that kill.
We have, Time Trap will be going out. Some damage is going to be going on to Dayun, but not going to be getting that kill that they're looking for. The other thing I want to note really quickly is Chromie is currently sitting at 31 out of the 60 stacks necessary 5 minutes into this game. Diablo sitting at 73 souls, and the Gul'dan with 11 stacks, as well as 0 on the Umbral Bind, or Bonds of Justice for the Maiev here, who is just trying to interrupt Zergling, and both teams on the cusp of a turn-in here. 3 needed on the side of Wrong Orc. Let's see if they can get it, Jay.
Oh, there's the engage. They're looking for this fight as Yogurt is getting melted down as they're focusing on that frontliner there. He gets the grab on Nesper. It's Genji who actually goes down. The overpower throwing him into range of the turrets. No deflect available, and this should be enough room here for Seth Lordson to turn in at the top, and the Web Weaver's going over to the side of CCC.
Jay, I have no idea how. Nesper dove in on a Diablo that had like no health, and he ended up dying. Like, I'm confused. Like, the play that's coming out from Yogurt on Diablo is absolutely terrifying.
We've seen so many 200 IQ plays out of Yogurt so far, but this wasn't so much intelligence as it was, I think, pure timing on his part. As I'm pretty sure the deflect cooldown for Genji was actually down on the initial initiation, because he was very deep in the middle of that team fight. And when he dove in looking for the kill, and he doesn't get that kill to get the reset to get out, it left him so vulnerable to the overpower in range of the towers.
Yeah, you are right. I was just checking myself. So the cooldown reduction is 16 seconds, and I do think I saw that being utilized in the fight that was in mid lane when it transferred into bottom. So definitely one of those situations where cooldown counting is a big aspect, and it's something that, you know, I've talked to a couple like grandmaster players about it, and like it's not something easy, but like learning the cooldowns, watching them, and specifically noting like, all right, well, he's got no deflect. If I throw him into the tower range, I'm not going to kill myself. He's just going to get bodied. So you said it perfectly. Just being able to just note that and know exactly when to utilize those, you know, those big plays into some aggressive positioning. But at this time, we currently have three gems available for just the turn-in on the side of Wrong Orc. But once again, back-to-back turn-ins are a potential for the members of Triple C here.
And more importantly, they've gotten the top fort down, and that wave pushed deep in, right up against that keep wall. They've got the heroics online as well. It's about what you expect. Warden's Cage, Horrify, March of the Black King for Leoric, along with the Lightning Breath, and it will be a double turn-in for the side of Triple C. They're looking to snowball this into an insurmountable lead.
They get the pull onto Zergling. Oh my god, the Warden's Cage comes out, but they try and push Zergling right back into it. They're using everything, and they get the kill onto the Blaze, but they just use so much to get that kill. 3 heroics have been utilized at this point. The Genji will be getting the Dragon's Blade into a couple of these members, but Diablo is just interrupting this. There is a huge leap coming out from Decker Kane. While Chromie's dealing so much damage, so many of these members are getting low. Genji trying to finish them up as Nesper is...
How is Yogurt alive?
Diablo does fall in the situation. He's got the black soul stones to bring himself right back up, and he takes Genji with him. That is going to be Joanna falling as well. Webweavers are descending, or have descended at this point. They take out so many gems from the members of Wrong Orc, and they continue to push down these lanes. Forohat really looking for talking trees.
Oh, Tree's getting bit there by the Rhaegar, but the lockdown from Nintori with the Scroll of Identify will keep the remaining part of his team alive. That trade as the heroics came in, the engagement, the flank from Nintori on Kane with the stay a while and maybe die. Somehow the members of Triple C did not submit, and then they found a way to turn that. Yogurt somehow trading his souls to confirm the kill on Nesper. Just incredible technical play, but there's the counter engage again at mid as Zergling will find a way to get Maiev in the backline. The heroics coming out, Zergling just able to get away from the final swing of that Black Mace, and it'll be a 1-0 as Triple C have to retreat now, but they've pressed this advantage right up to the top and bottom keep walls.
That push, oh my god, they got so much out of that. Now granted, Diablo did lose all of his soul stones, but he was able to come back instantaneously, push up that lane, and continue that fight. It was what they need. Oh my god. Zainhide gonna pop the Unstoppable. Should be fine. There will be the time trap onto Seth Lordson. Talking Trees continuing to poke out. The one thing I want to note, just, you know, while we kind of have this lull and some of these camps are going to be picked up, checking in on some of the questing talents. Chromie's currently sitting at 53 out of the 60 stacks necessary. There are 0 stacks on Joanna's Subdue. Diablo sitting at 31. We have the Gul'dan sitting at 19 out of the 40 necessary, and we have Maiev with the Bonds of Justice 0 stacks on that. So just to kind of catch everyone up, so if you're curious what these teams have been doing so far, that is what it's looking like, as it's 12-13. They're gonna try and get a turn in, but they've been zoning these turn in points so very well on the side of Triple C.
Yeah, I think it's really important to note that mid fort is actually still standing for the side of Wrong Orc right now. It gives them a really good outlet to retreat. Now, it's not very strong, but if that fight breaks out at mid, they have an avenue to retreat, where they need to kind of avoid the bottom and top lanes right now, because there is just so much room in the lanes for the side of Triple C to pursue them back towards their defensive lines.
So we do have Zainhide trying to get the turn at this time. We also have Dave going to be grabbing this camp on their own. So without, you know, they don't have their Rhaegar at this time, so they need to play this extremely safe. If they poke in a little too hard, Talking Trees with that Chromie can really do a lot of damage. The other thing to consider too is that they're really close to finishing the stack, so you'll actually get the extra, you know, the Chromie clone that can do so much extra damage, as Watcher is going to get bodied there, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Genji going to be trying to do the exact same thing, but that will be the March of the Black King, getting Leo back up to full health. We do have the bunker being dropped down, the Ancestral Healing connecting at the last second, but the Chromie is going to get that kill onto Leoric, and they continue to just clean up here, Jay.
Yeah, the kill on Maiev was very critical. You can see Nesper just waiting in that top vent looking for the opportunity to use the blade dash in, get the reset, look for a pick, and they got exactly the one they wanted, taking out Maev's crowd control. So when they go in for the full engage, they don't really have that Warden's Cage to fall back on and fight around. And then the kill onto Leoric as well. Fomalhaut actually walked right into the Dragon's Breath. Looked like he might have been a way to get out, but trees on the Chromie, a really solid read of where Leoric was going to go, getting that kill.
And that's the big thing, is just being able to make those predictions. The other thing to note too is that Chromie did finish that level 1 talent, so they will have that extra damage poking out, but this is a turn-in favor for the members of Wrongork, and it looks like Triple C, they don't want to defend this, they want to fight it, as the Stay a While and Listen will come out. It sleeps 3, and we currently have Diablo so low, and that will be the kill. Not enough souls, so they have the full death timer. We have the Warden's Cage coming out as well. Nintori so low here. Leoric will be the next one to fall, as it looks like Maya will be falling as well. Dave the next one, as it looks like Genji confirms that kill, and that is going to be 4 members falling here. Web Weavers are already out, and they move into top lane for the push onto this.
Yeah, oh, Seth actually getting just absolutely chunked by Nesper, and that's actually the team wipe confirmed out of nowhere. Nesper sniffing out the one-man rotation, and that is going to be the fort for sure, the keep wall for sure, as there's still 5 seconds left on the death timers. Leoric going to be the first one back on the front line, but he's not going to be able to do much against the full 5-man push here for Wrongork. This game that was looking very strong in Triple C's favor kind of turned at about the 13 to 16 talents here, as the members of Wrongork really started to pick up some of their power spikes.
This is one of the things that we did talk about, is switching the snowball, and I think we talked about it in some of the different series of just getting a couple of those kills and then getting momentum in your favor. If you looked at the map 2 minutes ago, you would not say, and then I said, just wait, they're going to get 2 forts out of this and almost a keep, and they're just like, no, like, they're getting I wouldn't say body, but they are definitely getting shoved in by the members of Triple C here. But I gotta say, Wrongork is coming out. They're going for the back-to-back turn-ins. They've got it. There's not going to be, they won't be able to contest this. And that should be, yep, back-to-back turn-ins. And they have so much pressure already in his lanes. They can potentially get a keep here, maybe even end.
I think they'll get a keep for sure. Whether or not they can end is going to depend on whether or not they can get a kill in this ensuing skirmish toward the team fight. Just looking at the damage numbers, so we talked about Triple C's ability to put out way more damage than their opposition, but this game, it's been flipped right back on its head. Nesper on the Genji, 42, almost 43,000. Trees, over 43,000 on Chromie. The highest damage for Triple C right now, it's Leoric. It's Fomalhaut on 27,000. Seth Wordson, not even above the Maiev right now. He's yet to finish the Echoes of Corruption quest on level 1, and that's really affecting his ability to push out damage in these team fights.
The Chromie Talking Tree is doing a phenomenal job of just dumping. I say this in my own cast all the time, like when I solo cast, just Chromie dumping sand in the backline. And that's the thing, is like, it's such a RNG, like, it's not an RNG because you're actually clicking it, but for the other team, like, you could be walking in a direction, be like, oh, like, I'm gonna juke this, and they're just like, well, they have that thought that they're gonna put it right there, maybe you think you're gonna juke it. So Chromie, Talking Tree's coming out and just getting these skill shots right where they need to be, and just doing a phenomenal job with it as they pushed in almost all the lanes here. Genji in the top lane this entire time, pushing this up. Now they don't have the Web Weaver, but at least stacking up these extra minions to try and get the damage onto this keep and allow them to get that push. 19 to 17, turn-ins available for both teams. Do we see the chase here, or do we see them turtle up a little bit?
Oh, they're looking for the engage on the even talents here, as Triple C knows it's their opportunity to fight. Nintori coming in for the Stay a While and Listen. Catches 3 members, but won't get a lot of value as he has to duck into the bunker. Big counter engage as the Warden Cage comes down. Lightning Breath on top. Members low as Daeun's trying to get to the backline. Everybody's trading heroics, but there's not a lot of kills, as Nesper, being the first one to go down, might be the only one, as Zainhide walks through trying to disrupt this one. The chase is on, but the potions being thrown out by Nintori, just enough to keep his tank alive.
Now the thing is, Zainhide actually stepped in a kind of awkward direction to pick up those little bit of gems that were dropped in that kill, and so that was actually almost the downfall of them. If it wasn't for those really good roots from Deckard, they would have been losing their Joanna as well in the situation. But it is a back-to-back turn-in, or not back-to-back turn-in, excuse me. It's going to be a turn-in for the members of Triple C here, as we look I'm looking at the minimap, and these web weavers really won't be pushing too far down the lane. It's mostly just going to kind of give them some breathing room and push them closer to 20 on the side of Triple C.
I feel like they probably should have gone back and cleared the lanes a little bit quicker before getting this turn in. They had the opportunity. Genji was going to be down for almost a full 60 seconds. They had time with the wave clear that they have. They've got a Gul'dan, they've got Leoric. Even Maiev with the Spirit of Vengeance has a decent amount of wave clear. Could have pushed those lanes back maybe one wave further and gotten just a little bit more value onto these web weavers. As it stands right now, they're trying to run it down mid and go for the 5-man fight, but they have to be wary of the Storm talents for Wrong Orc. They are literally a wave away from being picked up here.
And we're currently going to see Diablo getting time trapped over and over again, as it also looks like we have Talking Trees just doing as much as they can. That's also going to be Gul'dan finishing those stacks, so doing quite a bit of damage over time onto a few of these members, but we also have Talking Trees, so we're going to have almost the battle of mages trying to poke into this, but overall it's going to be a complete disengage. They don't have the 20s. That was achieved by Wrong Arc, and they're just like, you know what? We'll get the natural push from the web weavers. We won't push it harder than that. And actually, Top Keep might go down? No. Sliver of health?
It's gonna be close. It'll stay up. And the reason it stayed up, for some reason that top web weaver actually cast the death wave aimed away from the keep. They'll get bottom keep though, as web weaver was just enough there, but it won't be enough to get 20. Here's the engage coming in from Wrong Orc. It's actually going to be a lightning breath keeping them away. Warden's Cage, big fight, stay a while and listen, comes down, hits 3 members there, as Seth will be the first to fall. The Gul'dan, the bunker, putting flames up his backside, and it's enough to get him there. Nesper low, gets in the bunker, but gets killed as the bunker goes down. Still just an absolute brawl here at the line. It's 4 down for Triple C for a single Genji. Yogurt might have to trade out his souls, and it's going to be a team wipe. There it is, in favor of Wrong Orc.
Now though, I was watching that fight the entire time, and in just Talking Trees, it's exactly what we were just saying. Is Talking Trees was sitting there and just dumping sand, and no one was able to deal with it. No one was able to poke in on that. The other thing too is I don't think that the no, they might have actually just got their 20 talents, and that's why they continue to fight. But it looks like with the death timers being where they are right now, 30 seconds on a couple members, Leoric is scouting this out, but they will go for boss, and they should be able to burn this down fairly quickly before the members are even up and able to respond to this.
Yeah, this is a great call from Wrong Orc. They know that they don't need Genji. They've got only 2 members. Look at them just collapse onto Leoric. He was just standing there waiting, almost looking like he wanted to go for the march of the Black King. This feels like desperation right now out of Triple C. They can feel this game falling away from them. And I don't necessarily agree with this decision. You can defend the boss. Your members would be up before the boss gets to the keep wall. You'd lose the keep. But look at the top keep on the other side. It's a sliver of health away from going down and equalizing there. There was no need to run in and lose both of your frontliners here.
So they're going to go ahead and get the turn in with the boss as well. It looks like they really want to potentially try and end off of this, as Zergling will be turning in 50, well, near 50 gems here. But that will be boss captured as well. We do have this mid lane camp going to be picked up by the members of Triple C here, just to kind of at least push this out a little bit more. The one thing I do want to note, bottom lane is stacked up with a lot of catapults, so that bottom lane won't get a lot of value here. So they're just going to be focusing on defending the top lane. This is the big thing. They've got the boss, which has been staggered out with the web weaver. They should be landing almost simultaneously. I love this play from the members of Wrong Orc. They've delayed it out together, and also the Demon Circle being used by the Gul'dan right there, just to make sure that he did not die to the dive from Genji.
Yeah, really, I was actually worried for him when that oil slick came in. I thought, oh man, here's the staggered death timers in the beginning of the end. It'll be the lightning breath early on, but Bobo and Leoric getting caught there. Diablo making himself a big target there for Trees in the back line, just standing there breathing lightning. An open season for Dragon's Breath to come in. Ancestral will land on Watcher, actually, sorry, on the Maiev. And there's the full engage. Maiev down, Rhaegar down, Gul'dan somewhere in the middle of that, but it's Diablo down as well. And this is the end of game 1 for Triple C, as Wrong Orc takes it, go up 1-0.
Wrong Orc going to be taking this game. The back and forth between these two teams